you doing? Driving in the snow. I'm gonna turn right on. What is this? Wyandotte? 18th and Wyandotte. Now we're at 17th and Wyandotte. It was really slow going today. They've blocked off the street up here because they're doing some road destruction. It was really slow going today because they apparently didn't, I don't know what they did, if they cleared the streets or if they didn't. You can see all the, I don't even know if you call these secondary streets. I guess this is a secondary street, but a lot of the secondary streets haven't even been touched. Our neighborhood wasn't touched, but apparently a lot of the main highways they didn't even bother with either. Especially when you got into the Kansas City's area of responsibility. It seems like we had a bad snowstorm, what, about 10 years ago now? Maybe less than 8 years ago. And the mayor at the time got in trouble for that. So much so that one of the reasons why he didn't get reelected, because the city crews didn't handle the snow for weeks. This wasn't a very big snow either. This was very minor, really, in the scheme of things, but I don't know. When it wasn't ready this morning for rush hour, and it made everybody late. I mean, everybody was late. Cars were stacked up. Not to mention we have some road closures going on that are major, and just, you know, it was crazy. Right, Jimbo? Well, if you're gonna sit up like that, then we're just gonna rise up to meet you. Right, Jimothy? But this is downtown Broadway. It looks good now. All you can see on the other side, they still hadn't completely cleared it off. It wasn't much, but there was some slipping and sliding going on. I think people were joking that the Super Bowl was yesterday and that all the road crews were watching the Super Bowl. Nobody called them out. Nah, I don't know. You're at 11th and Broadway. Maybe it was just a kind of a snowstorm, although I don't think it was that major. It just sort of snuck up on us. I don't know if you can say that, because what? It started snowing yesterday morning about, what, 9 in the morning, and then it stopped by about noon. It snowed pretty intensely for a while, but you know, it was pretty much enough that it went from there being no snow on the ground to this. And I know yesterday was a Sunday, but I don't know. It seems like by Monday morning, most of the roads should have been cleared off enough that people could get around. There were a lot of places we were driving this morning, there was only one lane. One clear lane. And everybody was in the one clear lane. And, you know, we have an all-wheel drive vehicle, so it wasn't trouble for us to get into the snowy lane, bypass a lot of the cars that were stacked up. But yeah, most people weren't going to try that in their front wheel drive or rear wheel drive cars. Two wheel drive. So mainly it was SUVs and us in our Subaru, and the car that came up behind us pretty fast was also a Subaru. It's a pretty good recommendation for Subarus. Everywhere you go, like in Colorado or everywhere where people have to deal with this kind of weather, everybody's driving Subarus. I remember when Subaru in America wasn't much at all. Like the first time we had heard of Subaru was when they had the Brat, which was a little pickup truck looking car. And the Brat was known for it having the two seats in the bed of the pickup facing rearward, which I've heard since was not a very good design or a good idea. People riding in the back of those things didn't even have seat belts in it, just these hard plastic seats. They tried to come out with another model in the early 2000s called the Baja. It basically was an Outback with the wagon part cut off and a pickup truck bed in there. But I think Subaru maybe had some issues with their 6-cylinder engines. They use a horizontally opposed pancake engine, similar to the Volkswagen Bugs, except that Subaru engines are water-cooled and a lot more powerful. And they came out with a 6-cylinder version of it that they put in some of the Outbacks, and I think the Baja had it, and they had a much larger SUV for a while, but I don't think the engine was super reliable. Maybe had some issues. Another company that used to sell 6-cylinder pancake or boxer engines is Porsche. Porsche made the air-cooled version of it. As far as I know, Porsche may still build 6-cylinder boxer engines. I actually like boxer engines. I'm a big fan of the Volkswagen Bug, and I like Subarus. They have some issues, but they're not too bad, and they're actually generally very reliable. Volkswagen Bugs, though originally were very cheap, were probably some of the most reliable cars you could buy if you took care of them, if you understood that you had a air-cooled engine and didn't let it get too hot, you know, like sitting at a stoplight in the desert for hours and hours in stop-and-go traffic is deadly on them. Because, you know, with an air-cooled engine, you pretty much need to keep moving. That's not completely true. I mean, they had a good shroud fan system. But heading northbound on 169, this is not too bad. But, you know, the traffic pretty much started from that hill southward on our other way down this morning. What's wrong, Jimmy? Why don't you just stay there? You'll be my model. You'll be the talking dog. Hi, I'm Jimmy. Is that what you would sound like if you could talk? I am Jimmy the dog. Jimmy Carter. Spelled with a K. And Stella, of course, is being shy in the backseat. Right, Stella? Stella! What's up, Miss Stella? Gonna head up and get some hot bread. Hot bread. And then go home and do some editing on Denise the cat. I'm trying to make Denise the cat into a commercial star and sensation. Denise. Spokescat for handicapped critters. Denise is missing a leg. We see quite a few, mostly dogs with missing legs. Not so much cats. Are you gonna lay down? Are you, Jimmy? Not so much cats, but dogs have special issues with losing limbs, and that they go out and they get run over and things like that by cars. There's one dog who used to come out to the dog park. When they found her, her leg was messed up, and they had to amputate it. And they think what happened was she got run over by a train, if you can believe that, and survived. And it's amazing, these animals, how quickly they can move around, how easy, not easy, but how well they adapt to that situation. You know, I've seen three-legged animals that can run faster than the four-legged variety. They just learn how to adapt and overcome. And the main thing with handicapped animals is, like, when an animal comes into a shelter and has some sort of problem, handicap, or socialization issues, which can also be considered a handicap, or you know, in the old days, people may have just like offed them, gotten rid of them, you know, killed them off. And now, if we just come up with the money for like their initial surgery and care and everything, and then the big thing is adopting them. If you adopt an animal, get some of these animals that have special needs. Oh, excuse me, I don't mean to yawn. The roads are not so bad, although yesterday I found out the hard way. I took one of these ramps really fast. You got to be careful on the ramps because the roads may be clear, and that's what was funny was yesterday it seemed like the roads were actually clear, the main highways, but you got off on the ramp like I did, and all of a sudden you realize you're going way too fast and not able to stop. But you can see, yeah, this ramp hasn't been treated very. But coming and going into our neighborhood is a disaster too, because of the hill that we have to approach coming into the neighborhood. And if we definitely don't see a city plow. I think there's a private, through a neighborhood association, we have a private plow and salt truck that comes through. Maybe once a storm, 4 or 5 times a year. And man, it's just like, even the Subaru can't make it up that hill sometimes. Matter of fact, last year, my wife couldn't make it up the hill. She was down the bottom of the hill, and the other people tried, and they just slid right into her. Crunched their cars and her car up. And not a good thing. This road doesn't look too bad. The doggies can't wait to get home so they can go pee-pee. It's just too cold to even walk them. I was hanging out at YJ's is going to do a job today, and I just saw the guy. That's why I was hanging out there, because the guy likes to come in the mornings who I'm doing this job with, and he was like, oh no, my guys won't be out there. I'm doing a remodeling project of a major city landmark, shooting some video of it so they can have some B-roll. So when they approach the media, they can have some video in hand and say, here you go, and you know, if this entices you, send your guy out, but if not, hey, you want to talk about us, here's some video. And that way you can show some B-roll while you're talking about our project. Well, anyway, we are here, we're queer, get used to it. So, hey.